We are living in the midst of a movement, and that has been going on for a long time now already. I mean, every day has a lot going to it. It's been a very long 2020. And that's something that we have to take in mind as we're moving into this next kind of year round of education, as well as the fact that we're doing it with a pandemic going on, as well as the fact that we're doing it in an election year. I'm having to work at myself acknowledging the fact that it is an election year, because I know it is, but I just don't like to talk about it out loud. And all of these things impact just how much education has to straddle over and try and prevail through at this time. You know, it's layer upon layer upon layer, and that's okay, because that's where we are. You know, first thing we do with that is acknowledge it and accept it so that we work through it. Principles we like to focus on in our Tough Talks are acknowledgement. I try to get it in my alphabetical order. Acknowledgement, celebration, education, and preservation. Acknowledgement of things we do and don't know, of our circumstances, of our capacity. The more we are transparent and communicative with not only ourselves, but, you know, especially in terms of classrooms, with our students, with our administrators, our bosses, our colleagues, the more transparent and communicative we can be, the greater support and understanding there is for any of these different situations that we're trying to deal and balance with all at once. Celebration as we make changes and we make strides and we find successes. I'm a firm believer in simple joys. Simple joys have simple voices, and those are the little things that can help keep our momentum, our potential, our perseverance in these causes and these different endeavors. Education, well, that's what we're really here to focus on. You know, simply put, we talk a lot in Tough Talk about how we just need to remember to continue to educate ourselves and try to educate others, but also the hardest point of education. You know, I reference kind of a pickup I take from a song from Stephen Schwartz's Children of Eden. There's the titling, the hardest part of love is the letting go. You know, and the hardest part of education is knowing that not everyone you offer your education to will be able to accept it in the way you try or intend for them. And that's something that we certainly all face as we strive to enact change upon ourselves and upon others around us. And sometimes people just firmly reject things that we feel we see so clearly, or sometimes there are things we did not see at all or not understand for a while, and now we've come to that other side of it. Not everyone receives the same education offered to them in the same even increment, and that is so sometimes difficult to understand and accept. But through the acknowledgement, the celebrations, the education, we have to also remember the preservation, finding ways to preserve ourselves, to preserve our cause. And that comes back to sometimes just knowing how to take care of your own self, knowing how to maintain positive environments within our different classrooms and dynamics, especially as we're combating, again, a movement with, or not combating, but I would say integrating a movement with a pandemic, with, you know, an economy or lack thereof, and with resources or lack thereof as they are at this time for many of us, and for many of our students, and for many of our colleagues, and for many of our family members and friends. It's a lot. It's hard. It's frustrating. It's wild. And there's two things that I can say to it. The first I say is, it's okay. Because we have to accept that and we have to breathe so that we continue to work through it. But the second, which is the thing I've been saying really long with it, is that when it is hard and wild and complicated and frustrating, and it just seems like I can't make sense of this and I can't understand it and I'm ready to give up, that is also a drop in the bucket, or a whiff in the air, as I like to say, of the Black experience, of the person of color experience, of the oppressed person's experience, of the minority experience. And that's important to acknowledge and to use as a mindfulness to just educate ourselves on how hard it is for every person out there. That when we're feeling that, others have felt that and have felt it for a lot longer for many different reasons. And that's a part of where it's okay for us to feel it too. It's okay to figure out what you need to do to keep working past it, because that's the thing, is to keep working, to keep on keeping on, as I like to say.